Hello, everyone, and welcome to Catholic Truth Family, where we talk about love, relationships, dating, engagement, marriage, kids, and life. Your one-stop shop to know everything you need to know about how to find happily ever after. Also, on this channel, we talk a lot about life and marriage and kids and just the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we always have our favorite guest on here, Julie Loin, and she is a mother of 4, and she's been on here many times, and we're here to talk about the good, the 5, sorry, yes, I really am tired. She just had a kid at the same time we did, so I should know that. And Julie, in our last show, we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly of having kids, the top 5 best things about kids and the top 5 worst things, just so you know up front, you know what you're getting into. Same thing with marriage. What are the best things about marriage and what are the worst things about marriage? Because people always ask us, people say marriage is wonderful. Well, what's so wonderful about it? Because people say marriage is a cross, it's pain, it's suffering. Well, what are the specifics of that too? So we're going to get into a little bit of that today, aren't we, Julie?
Oh, yes. We're going to get into all of it.
And thank you for joining us on this show again. Welcome back.
Thanks, Bryan. I'm so happy to be here. And obviously this topic is wonderful, so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, why don't we start with some good things about marriage? Because I guess marriage is good, right? I mean, people sort of like it, usually.
Yeah,
kind of.
Usually-ish. No, they do. I do remember, though, when I got engaged, we were close to our wedding. I was picking out last-minute decorations, and this person was like, "Oh, what are you picking out?" And I was like, "Oh, some decorations for the tables for my wedding." And they're like, "Ooh, you sure you want to do that? Oh, marriage is rough." And I was like, I was a little nervous after that. But no, marriage is amazing.
Yeah, let me interject on that too, because I met a lady when I was a DRE, Director of Religious Education, and I was talking to the principal of a school at the church I worked at, and she said, I told her, I was like, "Oh, marriage is wonderful. I love it." She's like, "How long have you been married?" I was like, "Oh, 10 years. And it's just wonderful." And she's like, "Oh, wait till you're married 15 years. It just goes straight downhill. It's going to be the worst thing you ever did." He's like, "When you marry and been married as long as I have, it's just forget about it." And I was like, okay, first of all, just because you have a horrible marriage doesn't mean everyone in the world has a horrible marriage after 15 years. But that's kind of the reality of what most people had in life. And I didn't know a lot of people that had great marriages, which is why marriage scared me at the beginning.
Yeah, and I feel like if your marriage is that way, it also can be turned around. And I hope that your listeners, if they're like, "Yeah, I'm kind of in that boat. I've been married 15, 20 years. Marriage is hard. It's been horrible. I've actually not enjoyed it." It's not the end. And I hope that your listeners know that it can be turned around. I've heard so many stories of people saying how it's been redeemed and how it's been worked through and it's been amazing. But no, my husband and I have been very blessed. We've had some real good ups and downs. I've been recently listening to a Jordan Peterson podcast, and he kind of talked about, it's a little backwards how our society looks at marriage. Like, am I happy in my marriage? Is my marriage fulfilling me? Am I getting everything out of it? And he kind of takes it back a step, and he's like, "Listen, marriage is going to have its highs and lows. It's going to be good and bad. You're along for the ride. You're committed. You're in it. When it's happy and when it's good and you have no guilt and you're with your spouse, those are like the bonuses." It's kind of like when you find pure joy and you're like, this is great. Those are bonuses. You're not in it for the self-fulfillment of, I'm happy all the time. I'm living this heightened view of what marriage is at all times. It's not reality. Marriage has its ups and downs, like everything, children, work, whatever businesses you have, whatever it is, it's going to be an up and down battle all the time. But it's really like what you put into it is how you will feel about it and how you will thrive in it. It's what you put into it.
100,000%. I read a book called For Better Forever, a Catholic Guide to Lifelong Marriage. Great book, recommended to everybody. And he says that even when you get to those places, like you said, the low points, you don't have to stay low. Most people, like you said, "Oh, well, I'm not being fulfilled. I'm not happy right now. She's not doing enough in the marriage. He's not giving me the love I need," whatever. It's like, we can work through these things and bring your marriage to a new height and a new joy and a new love that you've never experienced if you're willing to do the work. Marriage is work. Life is work. Work is work. Nobody likes working. Very few people love their job, but work is work, and we do what we do. And, it's very interesting that people think, "Oh, well, it's just marriage. I'm just having a hard time and, it's not going to be better." But no, when you talk about transformation and it can get better, we're not talking about just like, "Oh, we can just learn to get along," and that sort of thing. No, we're talking about life transforming moments where you actually love being married again. It feels like you're being married for the first time in your life. You fall in love with the person all over again. Those can happen in your life if you're willing to do the work. I know people whose marriages were at the brink. They were going toward divorce. They were headed there, and now they just love each other and can't get enough. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 And it's all about what your perspective is and how you go about it. So I know one of the things that I was reading about says, let's see if I can find the quote. The greater the friendship, the more solid and long lasting the marriage will be, as we are united not only in flesh but in domestic activity. So St. Thomas Aquinas used that quote, and it made me think about what are some of the good things in marriage. And one of my favorite things is Mike is my best friend, and I don't mean that in like a really cheesy way, but I love spending time with him. I prefer to be with him. I don't have to be with him. There's a difference in people's relationships. So it's not I have to be with him for me to be fulfilled and all these things. I just prefer to be with him. I love spending time with him. He makes me laugh. He brings me up. He lifts me up. And he's really supportive in what we're doing. So like even just today doing this podcast, he was super excited. He was asking me about the topic, and he's asking me about all these different things. And he's really into what I'm doing, and vice versa. I'm as well with him. So I feel like one of the best things with marriage is when you're in a good marriage, they're your like best supporter, and they're your greatest cheerleader in a way. Sorry for that analogy, but can you imagine Mike in a cheerleading costume outfit? So when you think of it that way, though, when you find your best friend, you want to be with them, you want to spend time with them. And it's just, I don't know, there's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know Kathy and I, for many years, we had long walks on the beach. We rollerbladed together. We salsa danced, forever together. We do a lot of things together, and we play video games together. We loved it. So yeah, we just love spending time together.
Of course. And your listeners right now should know that you just left to go support your daughter in her potty training. I love that.
Yes. Yes. She was pounding on the door. So if you see a cut in the video, that's why. So let me just say, so, my wife and I for a long time had, so much, good quality time together, and we loved hanging out together. But I feel like lately, especially with two kids now, especially with a Down syndrome kid and hospitals galore and, everything else, I feel like we haven't been that close lately. We haven't been that intimate as you and Mike have, which I'm a little bit jealous of. I don't feel like we are best friends, but I don't feel like we have that best fit friend thing going on right now. I don't feel like we talk very often or very deeply. And, as I'm thinking about it, this, I guess I wouldn't say it's a low in our marriage, because I don't, feel like it's super low, but it is a place in our marriage where I think we need to do that work we're talking about. And we need to get to that, stop doing so many other things and focus more on each other again. Maybe, take that weekly date night, or, just, each night take some quality time to really talk to each other, support each other in some way. And I love the fact that Mike supports you, and he's interested in what you're doing, genuinely interested in what you're doing, wants to support you in that. And I know you do that for him too. And I think that's beautiful. And it's inspirational for us too.
Yeah, Bryan, we've been there 100 times over again. There's, like you said, it's not a low. It's like a hiccup. I always think of them as like little hiccups. We've been in our low. We've had our low, and that was when we used counseling and we used everything to get us through it, because we didn't want to give up on the fight. And I think that's a lot of the people's problem is, I fell out of love. I no longer want to be in this. I'm not unhappy. I'm not fulfilled. So all these like cliche things, but when you fight through it, I mean, trust me, you leave this marriage, you're going to jump into another marriage. It's going to be the same problems. You're just running from it. So you're fighting through. And so Bryan, you guys, Mike and I'm sure soon, because we go through a lot of hiccups, we're, through those hiccups, it is fighting through, and it is trying to find something new. And Dennis Prager from PragerU, he talks about never stop dating. I love him so much. He talks about him and his wife. He's like, you court your wife so hard right before you get married. You're wooing her, you're winning her over. And then all of a sudden you get married and you're like, well, I won, so I'm good. But he says, never stop dating your wife. And it's in those moments when it's the hardest. It's in those moments when it's hardest to give of yourself and to do those things. But on the other side for us girls, and I hope I'm not being too much here, but one of the other things that's really important is, so us girls, we need all the, I personally love hearing from my husband, I'm grateful for what you did today. X, Y, and Z. I'm grateful for the hard work you've done. He sees what I've done. He buys me flowers, those little things. But what can I do back for him?
What a good man. He buys her flowers, not just on Valentine's Day.
Not just on Valentine's Day, but there's something we can do as women. And one of the things that they were talking about with like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, and they were joking and it's a joke, but it's not a joke, is yes, us girls, we do need that, but what do the guys need? And Ben Shapiro's like, well, there's only a few things I need as a guy. And so I'm not being too explicit here, but as women, we can give ourselves to our spouse. And it is a way to help our husbands to know how much we love them. And I know that's a difficult topic because then you can get into a lot of other things in that. But when you're in a really solid,
and we could talk about a whole show on that kind of stuff too.
We can. And when you're in a holy, holy marriage, what a gift to be able to give to your spouse, even when you're not feeling like it. Cause I think that's a cliche thing too. I'm not in the mood. It's like, well, I'm not in the mood to work, but I have to work. I'm not in the mood to change my child's diaper, but I got to change the diaper. Why not?
I'm not in the mood to give him that thing. Or, well, I'm not in the mood to support your emotional needs and have long conversations when I'm exhausted after 8 hours of work, but it's what love demands.
Hey, Bryan, you're right. And I hope that made sense where I was going with that. I hope that.
No, it did. Different people have different love languages too, and different people have their needs met in different ways as well. But no, I mean, we should have a whole show on that and that sort of thing. I think that's very interesting. In fact, I have a whole book called Holy Sex. And it's called How Catholics Do It Infallibly. And it's actually not, it's kind of answers all those questions that most people don't ever want to talk about. And it does it in a very tactful, wonderful way, but it's not really about that. It's about how to love each other in every aspect of the marriage. And even in sexuality, to make sure that it's not just about that, but it's about actually loving the other person as well, the way they need to be loved and meeting their needs and that sort of thing. So it's very important, very interesting.
Yeah, but you're right. It's a hard topic to talk about. Even I'm like, how do I explain this in a holy manner? Because it's because our society looks at this all in a very twisted manner. But when you're talking about the God-given gift that we are to our spouse in every level, not just that, but every level, it's such a gift for us to be able to be intimate in the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical ways. And it's in marriage, that is such a gift, and it's such an uplifting gift when it's done in a righteous, holy way.
Amen. 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 I'm fighting the urge to go off on a tangent on that, but I'm going to bring it back and get back onto the topic. There's so much I want to say on that topic.
So that's a good.
That's a good. Yeah, no, being a best friend, marrying your best friend. Honestly, if the person's not your best friend when you marry them, then don't marry them, because you need that firm foundation for marriage. Yeah. So what's another good, Julie, besides marrying your best friend, spending wonderful time with them and having them support you and having them there through thick and thin, even when things do get low? They don't they don't dump you. They don't just, I fell out of love, you're not meeting my needs. That's all important, that faithfulness. And
it is. And I think the spirituality of it kind of goes with what you're saying. That faithfulness comes from God. You can't survive the difficulties of marriage without God. And I mean that on every level. I think having the same, similar, if not the same, I think they have to be the same. I think it's a real struggle. And I know a lot of people who have different faiths, and it's possible. God can do all things. Please know what I'm saying is, but when you're talking about meeting each other spiritually on the same level, you're on the same wavelength, everything you're doing is together. Bringing your kids to church together, doing night prayer together, doing prayers as a family together, teaching your kids the exact same values and teachings. What a gift that is in marriage. And I think that is honestly one of the most beautiful things when you find someone that matches that.
Amen. And I think too many people compromise on that. I made a video called "Can Catholics Date Atheists?" or should a Catholic marry an atheist? It's like, what if we have everything in common? What if he loves me and respects me? Should we, and the whole thing is, it's like you have everything in common with your husband. You get to love that, nourish that, support that. You walk hand in hand together with him and with your family to heaven. You don't have to worry about any of that. But there's so many people who marry other religions or people who are not religious, and they spend all of their time just hoping they'll come around someday, maybe for a year, 10 years, decades, hoping they come around, hoping that, they don't lose their own faith, they don't feel supported in their faith. I mean, this is the most important thing in their life, and the most important person doesn't support that. So we really, an ideal relationship should be where someone walks hand in hand with us toward heaven, supports us spiritually, supports our kids spiritually. We don't want people who are going to be giving them mixed messages. Well, your mom believes in God, but I don't. That's like poison. It's toxic. It's a plague in your marriage. You really want someone who's going to be there with you. And I know for my wife and I, when we had this difficult time with our Down syndrome baby, or finding out that it might be Down syndrome or worse, my wife's like, I need to start praying the rosary every day again. I stopped that. So, we committed to praying together as a family again, which we used to, but we kind of got away from it. It's one of those things we come back and work on. And so all through that 9 months, we prayed the rosary and the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and prayed together and, kind of interceded for each other. And it's a wonderful thing to have that support. And we still do today. We've kept that rosary going ever since. And our baby's 7 months now. So we've been doing it together for about a year and a half. And I continue the chaplet. She's a little, I guess, too busy for that. And I try to get, quiet prayer in as well. But I mean, she works, and
So
has
much.
to do the kids and all of that. Yeah. So it's a lot. But I do try to get her to do that sometimes. But yeah, no,
You
we
can
both
try to get me
pray.
to do that too, Bryan. You can get me on that one too. I know.
Well, you guys do Liturgy of the Hours with your
Yep.
family. You do other things. So
Yep. And we do our other prayers as well, but you're right. I think there's a beauty to those prayers. I know we had an episode about that, and I'm trying to remember what the topic was, but we did talk about how important that is, how praying specifically, we do our holy hours and we do different things, but praying the rosary daily is just such a beautiful thing. And I love hearing that you guys do that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, we do. And we try to say a couple decades with Sophia before she goes to bed, that we finish the rest after she goes to bed.
Yes, I think we talked about that too. Is like when the kids are praying with you, it's a little less.
Yes.
It's good. They get used to it and it's a good thing.
Yes.
They should be involved. It's just going to look different. It's just going to be a little different.
Yeah, until they fully chill and get into understand it.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's another good? Are there any other good marriages or just two?
Let's see. So just the two. No. So you spoke a little bit about this, and I guess it goes a little bit with the spirituality of it, is our spouse is called to help us to heaven, and vice versa. We are called to help our spouse to heaven. And I think
Sorry, is this the good or the bad?
the good.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? It could go.
It goes both ways.
It goes a little bit both, because the difficulties in your marriage are are going to help you get to heaven. Aha! I see what you did there.
Yeah, because your spouse
Yes.
becomes a mirror to your life, and you don't like what they tell you, and you don't like what they show you, and it's like the things they bring up that you're like, whoa, wait, why are you telling me that? Like, you have to work on your own stuff. Don't bring up mine. It's like it's so easy to get defensive and prideful and vain, and so when it works right, it's so beautiful, and you make each other better. You make each other saints. And when it's bad, it destructs, destroys the marriage in some way. So yeah, why don't we start with the good aspect of that?
That's interesting, Bryan, though. I that's interesting you brought that up, because when I think about it, I didn't get the negative side, but you're right. They really do go hand in hand. It can be a blessing or a curse, because you're looking at, this person's called to help me get to heaven. Therefore, they're going to support me in prayer. They're going to support me in making sure we get to mass. They're going to support me in making sure spiritually we're set. But then there's the other sides of their difficulties are going to help me with my patience. Their difficulties are going to help me with my, whatever I need to work on. And I think that's really interesting. I really like that you brought that up.
Yeah, thank you. And I've heard speakers say like, oh, I was upset one day and I was pouting and moping, and I was really upset that my wife did this. And she came into the room and said, get over yourself. She's like, grow up. And he's like, he was so mad and upset. And he's like, what? I actually am moping like a little kid. He's like, I'm not communicating my needs. I'm not, fixing so he's like, I've stopped that ever since. She helped me grow in that aspect. I didn't like the way she did it, but it worked, so it's like our spouses make us better for good or for bad. And if we have an immature relationship and we don't have good communication skills, and we don't accept criticism very well, and it's more of a fight than we're just helping each other grow, then it's going to be the more bad. Whereas if you're both committed to growth and you really want to work together, it's a wonderful thing that you can call each other on, have good conversations. Even if the conversations are tough, sometimes you make each other better and you feel better in the end, and you both come to a higher, better place than you were before.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing counseling. This was 2008-ish, so a few years back. Nope, that's when we got married. 8 years ago. It was when we were 8 years married. Wow. Okay, my brain got there. Sorry, people. So it was when we were 8 years married. we were going through the biggest hiccup of our life, the biggest down low. And I remember,
which I want to have a whole show on, by the way.
Yes,
I
would
want
love
both
to.
of you on this show, and I want to uncover the whole thing.
Because it's so important. It's so important to know how to get through those moments, because when you do, you come out fighting and you're so much stronger. But just a quick snippet. When we were kind of showing what we were getting upset about. So I had my things and he had his things. Our communication was at its lowest. And I remember, like you were talking about the moping thing. I would be cooking dinner. I'd be cleaning. I'd be doing everything. And I was just like sweating. I was mad. And I'm like looking at the clock, just waiting for Mike to get home, just waiting. As like at first it'd be like, okay, Mike's coming home soon. Then I'd be like, why isn't he here yet? Why isn't he here yet? And my anger would build and build and build and build and build to a point where he would walk through the door and poor Mike, I'd be like, like a monster. I would be so mad at him for doing literally nothing, but I'd be so mad at him. Like, do you not even know what I've been doing all day? Do you not even know what I've been doing? Do you not see what's happening here? And my poor husband. So when we went to counseling, he brought it up, but he did it in a very gentle way. He was like, sometimes I feel a little bit like I get attacked when I come through the door. And I literally paused and I go, yes, I do that. I see that. But it was because we were both so willing to work on it. We wanted to know how to be better. And
that's beautiful, Julie.
It was wonderful.
You're a beautiful person, I think, because you do that sort of thing. A lot of people would be like, well, it's your fault. If you'd support me more, if you did this or that, and they actually go more into toxicity, which destroys the marriage all the more. You admitted your fault. You took it like a woman and you said, yeah, I need to work on that. And you did. And it brought your marriage to great heights. It made your relationship better. And I love that about you guys.
Thank you. Yeah. And Mike did it as well. I think it was easy for me because he was doing it as well.
Well, he's built to do that. He does that by nature. He makes the rest of us look stupid. So
it's true.
Yeah. Some people are just born with the Jesus gene. So, yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Not me. I got to work
I'm married
at
up. I'm married up. I wanted to say one quick story.
Go.
I know. I'm taking this a little bit long, but one thing that I thought was very interesting. So it was another thing I was watching about how to kind of know if the relationship is headed down a bad path. They talked about divorce, but I was like, no, we don't need to go there that quickly. But when someone
talked about it,
it was Jordan Peterson. But when a relationship's kind of heading down, there's certain things that you can kind of pinpoint. So he gave an example of, let's say you have a group of people, group of married people, and the wife says, "Oh, look outside! There's a beautiful cardinal," and the husband reaction is like, like whatever. Why do I care? Or the husband's reaction is, "That's okay. You're dumb." Like almost like criticizing. Why do you think that's cool? Or completely ignoring, doesn't even acknowledge anything. Or you have the spouse that's like, "Cool, let me come see it." It does not matter if the spouse cares about the cardinal. It does not matter. And at any point, it's his response to his wife. It's his response. Something excites her. That should excite you. Something is worth noting of what she's talking about. So I loved that analogy of, okay, when your wife or your spouse is excited about something, Mike will talk about music and he'll talk about all these things, his gadgets and all these things. I have no idea what he's talking about, but I will be excited because he's excited. And so I think that's a good in relationships right there.
Yes, that is a beautiful mark of a beautiful wife and a beautiful husband and a beautiful relationship when you really show interest, because sometimes we get too busy in life to a point where we stop caring about our spouse. We stop caring. I mean, we do care. We love them, but the spouse would never know that. Because, either you stop hugging them, you stop kissing them, you stop giving affection because you're just too busy. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And you don't have these deep relationships. You stop, really taking interest in them. You have these shallow, superficial conversations. But when you really show that deep interest, even in things you don't care about, and you ask questions about it, and you see what it means to them, and you try to make them happy, it's a good thing. I know I often go up to behind my wife and I give her a back rub or, just stroke her arms lovingly. And she's always like, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? I'm like, why do you have to always earn something? Why do you think love is earning? And it's a little bit scary in return because I was like, am I not going to get any because I didn't earn it? I was like, I'm just giving you this out of love. I don't even feel like giving it to you. You didn't do anything. And I definitely don't feel like it, but I love you and I want to make you feel loved. And so I go out of my way. And it's really a nice thing in marriage one of the beautiful things of marriage when it happens is sacrifice. When people sacrifice for you, what you were talking about earlier, giving to your husband even if you don't feel like it, and him giving to you even when he doesn't feel like it. That's two people giving. And the other people, when they receive that, they feel that love even more. It means so much more because they don't feel like it. And they're trying to do it with great joy, not just like, okay, I'm going to give you this because I have to, and it's part of the daily duty of marriage. No, yeah, okay. That's the first step, the baby step, the childish step, but doing it out of love and with great generosity for them, thinking about them and not yourself and what you get out of it. When that comes to that place in marriage, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. I feel like that is the ultimate goal for marriage, is that self-gift, that sacrifice. So
yeah,
I love that. That's
beautiful.
great.
And there's so much more, we could say about the beauties of marriage. I mean, we're just beginning, but we're out of time for today, and we'll talk about more at another time. And I really want to have you and your husband come on and talk about your marriage hell, and how to get through it. The good, the bad, the ugly, and, the things that make you maybe think about cashing in the chips, running away, getting out of it. There's people who treat you better, all the lies that our minds tell us, we can never get out of this. We can never get through it. It's never going to change. He's never going to change, all of that. I think it's good when people go through hell and come out of it. And that's the problem with most counselors. Most counselors have a ton of issues themselves, and they haven't got from point A to point B in their own life. So they can't teach other people how to do it, which is why it's good when you find people who do get to point B, they can teach you how to as well. So yeah, we want to have you come back on to do that.
Oh, we'd love it. I'd love it. I'll check with Mike.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to, and you want to give all the, the deep, dark details, that's fine as well.
We can make him.
And I plan to have a video. I don't know if I can convince my wife, hopefully. If Trent Horn's wife can convince him to be a baby and have a pacifier and a bonnet on him, which is hilarious. I can't even ever, but he must love that girl. That's love. But I'm going to try and convince my wife to come on here and give the show with us. But if not, I'm going to do it. This is probably going to be like a 2-hour show, because we went through a really deep, dark, bad time for like 4 years. And I'm going to expose the whole thing, because so many people go through these hard times and they just need to know that they're not alone. They need to know that there's a way out. And we're going to give them the way out, like how we got through it ourselves.
That's awesome. That's going to be perfect. I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for coming on again. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Please share this video and check out our other videos. Share all these videos with anyone who's having a troubled marriage, who's struggling, who's arguing with their spouse, who's thinking about divorce. They need these videos. They need these reality checks. They need these reminders of sanity, that not everything is bad. They need to undo the lies of the devil and reprogram, truths from God. So share these videos, please, with people who need it. And let me tell you, secret, there's a whole world of people who need it. So get going on that. Thank you all, and God bless.